Joining me now is Congressman Dusty Johnson. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I first want to extend a big congratulations. You won re-election 2 weeks ago, but it was a big election for the GOP. The Republican Party is poised to take control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. So what are some of your main takeaways from the election?
Clearly, inflation was a major driver. But Brittany, I would also mention the border. Increasingly, as 2024 went on, people across the political spectrum in South Dakota were telling me they just could not understand how anyone could defend the crisis at the southern border. And I think inflation and border, along with, to a lesser extent, urban crime, really made folks just feel more comfortable trusting Republicans in D.C.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because that was a blaring issue, both of them, the border as well as inflation and the economy, when I talked to voters, pollsters, everyone. So what do you think the GOP's focus is going to be at the beginning of the term?
On inflation, I already think there's lots of good news. The inflation has slowed down in no small part because Republicans took the House 2 years ago. That meant that we were able to stop the $1 trillion giveaways. And listen, I don't like to trash people, but I would say it is very clear to me that the $13 trillion of spending and easy money that the Federal Reserve had done, the congressional spending plus the Fed, it just put way too much money out on the street. That triggered hyperinflation. You don't need to take my word for it. The broad consensus of economists agree with that. And so, frankly, things have gotten better because Republicans have been able to block that level of new spending. Things are only going to get better as Republicans bring even more fiscal sanity to bear. I'll give you one example of a real victory we had during the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which I helped to negotiate. We were able to cut $2 trillion of non-defense, non-VA discretionary spending over the course of the next 4 years. That was not enough, but it's an important first few steps in this marathon.
I want to talk about how you are going to specifically lower prices, because in my conversations with voters, especially the voters in those battleground states, I'm from Pennsylvania, I talk to Pennsylvania voters daily. The conversation is, my grocery bill is too high. It's tougher now to put food on the kitchen table than it was 4 years ago. So what are you going to do next term to help lower costs for Americans?
I think when a big problem we've got with government today is that everybody begins by assuming that more government money or more government mandates or more government regulation is going to solve the problem. Brittany, it's almost never the case. And so the definition of inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. We all learned that in Microeconomics 101. And with the Republicans in control of Congress, you are going to see less of these $1 trillion giveaways. And so if what you want is less inflation, you have to be willing to tackle the root causes of inflation, which are too many dollars chasing too few goods. Republicans are going to get back to economic growth. That is going to create more goods. Republicans are going to get back to fiscal restraint and fiscal responsibility. That is going to mean fewer dollars. That is going to provide us an equilibrium on pricing, which will slow inflation dramatically.